Gentlemen, let me start with a truth that might shock you. If you're over 60 and noticing weaker energy, fading stamina, and less reliable performance in the bedroom, the problem may not be your testosterone, your prostate, or even your age. The real culprit could be something as simple as the way you drink water. Yes, water. A habit so basic, yet when done the wrong way, it can quietly thicken your blood, weaken your circulation, and rob you of the very pressure your erections depend on. My name is Dr. Mohit Khera. I'm a board-certified urologist with over 30 years of experience helping men restore vitality, protect their prostate, and regain the confidence they thought was gone forever. Over 3 decades, I've seen the same story play out. Men believing decline is inevitable, when in fact, their bodies are simply starved of proper hydration. Here's the paradox. You've been told all your life to drink more water, but no one explained that drinking at the wrong time, in the wrong amounts, or in the wrong way can do more harm than good. By skipping what your body truly needs, you set yourself up for fatigue, poor recovery, and weaker erections without ever realizing why. But here's the promise. When you hydrate correctly, you restore circulation, unlock steady energy, and awaken a performance that feels decades younger. I've watched men in their 60s and 70s regain morning energy, sharper focus, and stronger intimacy simply by adjusting their water habits. And in this video, I'll reveal the exact mistakes to avoid and the simple step-by-step strategy you can start tomorrow morning. Stay with me, because these changes may be the fastest way to make your body and your confidence feel alive again. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another doctor's tip designed to keep you strong, energized, and performing your best after 60. And if you're ready to try this simple water strategy, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0, and let me know how I can better support your health. Now that you know why hydration could be the hidden key to restoring your strength, let's begin with the first principle. To understand how water impacts your body after 60, you need to see why hydration matters more than ever for circulation, energy, and performance at this stage of life. 1. Why hydration matters more after 60. When I sit across from men in their 60s or 70s, I often hear the same frustrated words. Doctor, I just don't feel like myself anymore. I'm tired by the afternoon. My stamina isn't what it used to be, and intimacy feels like a struggle. Many of them are convinced this is simply the natural price of aging. But in my 3 decades of treating men's health, I've learned that what feels like aging is often something far more basic and far more fixable. The real culprit is dehydration, and it silently sabotages your energy, your circulation, and your performance. Think about this for a moment. An erection is not magic, it's hydraulics. Just like a garden hose relies on steady water pressure to expand and stay firm, your body relies on blood pressure to fill the erectile tissue and hold it there. And what is blood mostly made of? Water. Over 90%. When your body doesn't have enough water, your blood volume drops, circulation slows, and the very pressure that powers your erections fades away. That's why, even with normal testosterone levels, many men struggle when they're dehydrated. What makes this especially critical after 60 is the way your body changes with age. The kidneys that once held onto water efficiently begin to lose that ability. The blood vessels that used to expand and contract easily start to stiffen. That means the same mild dehydration that a younger man might shrug off can hit you like a hammer. You feel it in the form of sluggish afternoons, slower recovery after activity, brain fog, and weaker erections. And because these symptoms overlap with the normal complaints of aging, most men never realize the connection. I can't tell you how many times I've seen men accept these struggles as inevitable when all along their bodies were simply running dry. I remember one patient, James, a 67-year-old retired teacher. He came to me exhausted and discouraged, convinced he was just getting old. But when we corrected his hydration habits, something remarkable happened. Within 2 weeks, his energy stabilized, his morning focus sharpened, and his intimacy with his wife returned in a way that brought tears to his eyes. He said to me, "Doctor, I thought this part of my life was over. All I needed was water." His story isn't rare, it's common. Hydration matters more after 60 because your margin for error is so much smaller. You no longer have the physiological cushion you had at 30 or 40. Dehydration doesn't just leave you thirsty, it leaves you at a disadvantage in every system that matters. Your heart has to pump harder to move thicker blood. Your muscles tire faster because they're deprived of oxygen-rich circulation. And your erections, those delicate hydraulic events, falter because there simply isn't enough pressure to sustain them. This is why I tell my patients that water is not just a lifestyle choice. It's a form of medicine. It costs nothing, it has no side effects, and it supports every organ and every cell. But the way you drink it matters. The wrong timing, the wrong amounts, even the wrong habits can sabotage the very benefits you're trying to unlock. If you've ever wondered why your afternoons feel heavier than your mornings, why your recovery seems slower, or why your erections are less dependable, the answer may not be complicated. It may be as simple as the glass, or lack of a glass, of water you had hours earlier. Gentlemen, I want you to pause here and think. What if the single greatest barrier between you and the strength, stamina, and confidence you desire isn't aging at all, but a glass of water you never drank? That realization alone should give you hope, because unlike age, hydration is something you can control starting today. And the difference you feel when your body is properly hydrated can be astonishing. Now, if hydration is this important, you might be wondering, what exactly are the mistakes most men make that keep them dehydrated without even realizing it? Because believe me, I've seen the same errors repeated again and again in my clinic, and they quietly drain vitality day after day. So let's pull back the curtain and talk about those hidden mistakes, the habits that may already be working against you. 2. The hidden mistakes most men make with water. Over the years, I've sat with countless men in my office who were baffled by their lack of energy, their fading strength, or their declining confidence in the bedroom. They would tell me, "Doctor, I drink water every day, so that can't be the problem." And yet, when I asked them to describe exactly how they drank that water, a pattern always emerged. It wasn't that they weren't drinking, it was that they were drinking in all the wrong ways. These hidden mistakes, repeated day after day, were quietly sabotaging their circulation and vitality without them ever realizing it. The first mistake is starting the day with everything but water. Too many men wake up after 7 or 8 hours of sleep already dehydrated, and instead of reaching for a glass of water, they go straight for coffee or tea. Now, don't get me wrong, coffee has its place. But as a mild diuretic, it pushes more fluid out of your system than it replaces. So imagine beginning your day already behind and then pushing yourself even further into dehydration. The result is sluggish circulation from the very first hours of your morning. Your body is trying to move blood through a system that doesn't have enough volume, and the effect on your energy, focus, and sexual performance can be immediate. The second mistake is what I call the desert and flood cycle. I see this all the time. Men coast through the day barely drinking, maybe a sip here and there, then try to make up for it by downing 2 or 3 big glasses in the evening. But your body doesn't thrive on that rhythm. During the day, when your muscles, brain, and intimate tissues need hydration most, your blood stays thicker and circulation slows. Then, in the evening, you suddenly overload your system. And what happens? You spend half the night getting up to urinate, robbing yourself of deep, restorative sleep. Instead of supporting your body, this habit drains both your energy and your intimacy. Another mistake I often hear about is the pre-performance rush. Some men believe that chugging water right before exercise or intimacy will give them a boost. But your body doesn't work that way. Drinking large amounts at the last minute doesn't instantly translate to stronger circulation. What it does is dilute your electrolytes, bloat your stomach, and fill your bladder. I remember one patient, Robert, who confessed that he always drank 2 large glasses right before being intimate with his wife, thinking it would help his blood flow. What it actually did was interrupt their moments together with frequent trips to the bathroom. When I convinced him to hydrate consistently earlier in the day instead, his confidence and focus returned almost overnight. And then there's perhaps the most dangerous mistake of all, relying on thirst. Gentlemen, thirst is not a good guide. By the time you feel thirsty, your body is already running low, your circulation is already slower, and your tissues are already underhydrated. For a younger man, this might not matter as much, but for a man over 60, it makes a world of difference. Your blood vessels are less flexible, your kidneys less efficient. Waiting until you feel thirsty means you're already playing catch-up, and your performance, whether at work, at the gym, or in the bedroom, suffers because of it. These mistakes might sound small, but together, they add up to an enormous drain on your health and vitality. They thicken your blood when it should be flowing freely. They rob you of energy when you most need it, and they undermine your confidence in the moments when you want to feel at your best. What frustrates me most is that so many men accept the consequences of these mistakes as just aging, when in reality, it's simply poor hydration habits. But here's the hopeful part. Every one of these mistakes can be corrected, and the benefits often show up faster than you think. The very same men who once struggled with fatigue and weaker erections discovered new strength and stamina once they learned how to hydrate properly. And the best place to begin is with a simple but powerful morning habit that resets your entire system for the day ahead. So let's move forward and talk about that one morning routine that can change everything. 3. The morning reset routine. If there is one single habit I wish every man over 60 would adopt, it's this. Drink a full glass of water within the first 20 minutes of waking up. I call this the morning reset routine, and it is one of the simplest yet most powerful steps you can take to restore your circulation, energy, and performance. I've seen this small action transform the lives of countless men who thought their best years were long behind them. Think about what happens overnight. You go 7 or 8 hours without a single sip of fluid. During that time, you breathe out moisture, you sweat lightly, and your kidneys continue filtering waste. By the time you open your eyes in the morning, your body is already running at a deficit. And yet, what do most men do? They reach straight for a cup of coffee. Now, coffee may wake up your mind, but it does absolutely nothing to restore your blood volume. In fact, as a mild diuretic, it actually pushes even more water out of your system. That means you're starting the day with sluggish circulation and thickened blood, setting yourself up for fatigue, brain fog, and weaker erections before you've even had breakfast. When my patients follow my advice and drink 12 to 14 ounces of water first thing in the morning, the change is often dramatic. That glass of water acts like a reset button. It floods the bloodstream, restores volume, and primes every organ for the day ahead. Men often tell me they feel sharper, lighter, and more alert within minutes. One of my patients, David, age 62, described it perfectly. He said, "Doctor, it's like my whole body wakes up at once. My energy doesn't just come from caffeine anymore, it comes from inside me." Some men choose to take it a step further by adding a pinch of mineral-rich salt and a squeeze of lemon. The salt provides electrolytes that support nerve and muscle function, while the lemon delivers vitamin C, which helps protect nitric oxide, the very molecule your body uses to relax blood vessels and improve blood flow. When you give your body this combination, you're not just quenching thirst, you're actively boosting circulation in a way that supports your heart, your brain, and your sexual performance. I want you to picture this. Imagine your bloodstream like a river. Overnight, that river has run low, and the current has slowed. When you drink that morning glass of water, it's like opening the dam. Suddenly, the current flows stronger, carrying oxygen and nutrients to every cell. Your muscles feel more alive, your mind feels clearer, and yes, your erections have the pressure they need to return with more reliability. It's a simple act, but its effects ripple through your entire body. I've had men come back after just 1 week of starting this habit with stories that still amaze me. Stronger morning erections, steadier moods, and fewer afternoon crashes. One man in particular told me that after adopting the morning reset, his wife leaned over one morning and said, "I don't know what you're doing differently, but I feel like I have my husband back." That is the kind of impact a single glass of water can have, not only on your body, but on your relationships and your confidence. And here's the best part. It costs nothing. No pills, no expensive supplements, no complicated programs. Just a simple shift in how you begin your day. You reclaim control over your body in a way that feels empowering, because you know the very first thing you do each morning is actively fueling your strength and vitality. But of course, hydration is not just about what you do in the morning. To keep that river of circulation flowing strong, you need more than one reset. You need consistency. And that brings us to the next principle, a strategy I call steady sipping, the practice that ensures your energy and performance never run dry as the day goes on. 4. The power of steady sipping. If the morning reset is the spark that wakes up your system, then steady sipping throughout the day is the fuel that keeps your engine running smoothly. Too many men over 60 still make the mistake of treating water like an afterthought, something to grab only when they feel thirsty or when fatigue hits them like a brick wall in the afternoon. But by then, it's already too late. Your body has been struggling with lower blood volume for hours, and your circulation has been crawling along when it should have been flowing freely. This is why I emphasize to my patients that water is not meant to be consumed in sudden bursts. It's meant to be delivered in a steady rhythm, like a background beat that never stops. I often tell my patients to imagine their body as a garden hose. If you turn it off for hours and then suddenly blast water through it, the system sputters, struggles, and wastes pressure. But if you allow a steady, even flow, the pressure remains consistent, the hose expands the way it should, and the results are reliable. Your circulation works in much the same way. A half glass of water every 45 to 60 minutes keeps your blood volume stable, your oxygen delivery steady, and your energy level balanced throughout the day. That stability is what helps you avoid the roller coaster of highs and lows that so many older men mistake for just aging. One of my patients, Harold, age 66, came to me convinced that his afternoon fatigue was due to low testosterone. He was ready to start hormone therapy. But when I asked him about his hydration habits, I discovered that he would drink almost nothing until mid-afternoon and then try to catch up with 3 or 4 large glasses at once. I encouraged him to try steady sipping instead. Within 2 weeks, he called me, surprised and a little embarrassed. "Doctor," he said, "I thought I needed a prescription." Turns out I just needed to keep a glass of water on my desk. His energy no longer crashed after lunch, his mood was more stable, and his wife even noticed that his evening intimacy was more reliable. Steady sipping also plays an essential role in keeping erections dependable. Erections require consistent pressure, and that pressure depends on blood volume. If you allow your system to run low on water for hours at a time, you reduce the very foundation of your performance. But when you sip steadily, you ensure that by the time evening comes, whether you want to exercise, go out with friends, or enjoy intimacy, you already have a body primed with healthy circulation. It means your confidence doesn't rely on last-minute fixes. Instead, you walk into the evening already supported by hours of good hydration. Another benefit of steady sipping is how it protects you from mistaking thirst for hunger or fatigue. Many men tell me they hit that mid-afternoon slump and reach for coffee or sugar when in reality, what their body craves is water. A simple glass of water can lift alertness naturally, restoring clarity without the crash that follows caffeine or sweets. It's a cleaner, more sustainable way to stay energized. There's something deeply empowering about adopting this habit. It's not flashy, it doesn't involve a new gadget or supplement, and yet the results are undeniable. When you treat water as a steady partner in your day rather than a quick fix, you take control of your circulation, your energy, and your performance in a way that feels both simple and powerful. But there is one more rule that men often overlook, and it can make or break the benefits of hydration. It has to do with timing, and especially what you should never do right before exercise or intimacy. Let's talk about why the wrong glass of water at the wrong moment can ruin your focus, your comfort, and your confidence. 5. Hydration before activity and intimacy. Over the years, I've noticed a common pattern among older men who are determined to reclaim their vitality. They often think that if water is good for circulation, then drinking a large amount right before a workout or before being intimate must be even better. It sounds logical on the surface, but in practice, it often backfires. I've had men tell me that they gulp down 2 or 3 glasses right before heading to the gym or the bedroom, hoping it will jumpstart their performance. Instead of feeling stronger, they end up bloated, uncomfortable, and constantly distracted by the need to urinate. In fact, the very thing they thought would improve their confidence often ends up taking it away. The truth is, Your body doesn't work like a faucet that can be turned on at the last minute. Hydration is about consistency, not quick fixes. When you flood your system right before activity, your blood doesn't suddenly become more abundant or your circulation instantly stronger. What actually happens is that your stomach and bladder become overwhelmed, your electrolytes get diluted, and your focus shifts from performance to discomfort. I remember one patient, Robert, who shared his frustration with me. He admitted that before intimacy, he would always drink 2 tall glasses of water, convinced it would help him rise to the occasion. What it really gave him was interruptions, embarrassment, and a feeling that his body was working against him. When I explained that real confidence comes from steady hydration throughout the day, not from last-minute gulping, he felt relieved. He later told me that once he stopped that habit and focused on sipping earlier, he not only performed better, but felt more present and connected with his wife. Exercise works the same way. Hydration is critical for muscle recovery, cardiovascular endurance, and circulation to the lower body, but your body can't use a sudden flood of water right before you start moving. Instead, that extra fluid just sloshes in your stomach and leaves you feeling heavy. The best athletes know this secret. They hydrate steadily hours before competition, not seconds before. And while you may not be training for a marathon, the principle is exactly the same, whether you're walking around the neighborhood or sharing intimacy at home. True hydration is about preparation, not desperation. This is why I encourage men to think of water like fuel in a car. You don't wait until the engine is sputtering on empty to dump in a gallon at once. You keep the tank filled consistently so the engine always runs smoothly. By the time you want to perform, whether on a treadmill or in the bedroom, your body should already be fueled and ready, not scrambling to process a sudden overload. When you give yourself that preparation, you step into those moments with quiet confidence, knowing your body is primed instead of distracted. And here's the encouraging part. Once men break the habit of last-minute drinking and instead focus on sipping regularly earlier in the day, the results often show up quickly. They notice fewer bathroom interruptions, steadier energy, and a sense of calm confidence that allows them to focus on the activity itself rather than on their body's discomfort. One man told me, "Doctor, for the first time in years, I wasn't worried about stopping halfway through. I could just enjoy the moment. That kind of freedom is what every man deserves." But hydration doesn't exist in isolation. To truly unlock lasting strength and stamina, you need to combine it with the other pillars of health: what you eat, how you move, the quality of your sleep, and the way you manage stress. When these elements work together with hydration, the benefits multiply in ways that surprise even my most skeptical patients. So let's move deeper into the long-term partners of hydration, the habits that turn small daily actions into a foundation for decades of vitality. 6. The long-term partners of hydration. Hydration is powerful, but I want to be very clear. It is not a magic switch you flip once and never think about again. For men over 60, water is the foundation. But to truly build lasting vitality, you must connect hydration with other essential partners in your daily life. When these habits work together, the results don't just add up, they multiply, creating a system that supports your circulation, your energy, and your intimate performance in ways that can feel nothing short of life-changing. The first partner is nutrition. What you eat directly affects your blood vessels and your ability to generate strong circulation. Foods like beets, spinach, and leafy greens naturally boost nitric oxide, the very molecule that relaxes blood vessels and allows blood to flow more freely. Berries reduce inflammation and protect the delicate lining of your arteries. Salmon and other fatty fish supply omega-3s that keep blood from becoming too thick. But here's the key. These nutrients can only do their job if your body is hydrated. Without water, those nutrients struggle to move through your bloodstream and reach the tissues that need them most. I once had a patient who proudly told me he was eating all the right foods, yet he still felt sluggish and struggled in the bedroom. When I asked him about water, he admitted he barely drank any. Within weeks of changing that, he noticed his diet finally began to make a difference. The second partner is exercise. Even something as simple as a brisk 20-minute walk stimulates blood flow to your lower body and strengthens the muscles that support erections. But dehydration makes exercise harder than it needs to be. Your blood thickens, your heart strains, your muscles cramp. I've seen men give up on exercise because it felt exhausting, when in truth, their bodies were simply underfueled with water. Once they hydrated properly, the same walk that once left them drained now left them feeling invigorated. Hydration doesn't just make exercise easier, it magnifies its benefits. The third partner is sleep. This is when your body rebuilds, when testosterone is produced, when cells repair themselves. But if you spend the day barely drinking and then flood yourself with water at night, you sabotage the very sleep your body depends on. Nighttime bathroom trips disrupt deep rest, and dehydration during the day leaves your hormone cycles unstable. Balanced hydration means drinking steadily while awake, but setting a cutoff in the evening so your nights remain restful. The men who follow this pattern don't just sleep longer, they sleep deeper, and they wake with more energy and stronger morning erections. The fourth partner is stress management. Few men realize that dehydration raises cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. High cortisol chips away at testosterone and undermines your drive, your stamina, and your mood. Staying hydrated acts like a buffer, helping to regulate this balance so your hormones work for you rather than against you. I've had men tell me that when they made hydration part of a larger lifestyle of mindfulness, walking, and healthy food, their stress not only dropped, but their intimate life improved as well. It is all connected. I want you to imagine your health like a table. Hydration is the foundation, but the other legs, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress control, are what make it steady and strong. If one is missing, the table wobbles. But when all four stand firm, your vitality is stable, and your body feels decades younger. Gentlemen, the men who commit to this system, hydration plus these long-term partners, are the ones who surprise even themselves. I've seen men in their 70s glow with an energy they hadn't felt since their 40s. It's not magic, it's consistency. And now that you understand how these partners work together, let me leave you with something even more important. The final message of hope. The reminder that it is never too late to take back your energy, your confidence, and your life. 7. The hopeful takeaway. Gentlemen, after decades of working with men over 60, I can tell you this with absolute certainty. Your body is not broken, and your best years are not behind you. Too many men come to me defeated, convinced that fatigue, slower recovery, and weaker erections are simply the inevitable price of aging. But I have seen something different. I have seen men who felt hopeless regain strength, clarity, and intimacy they thought was gone forever. And often, it began with the simplest of choices, choosing to hydrate properly. You see, an erection at its core is not complicated. It's a hydraulic event. Just as a hose needs steady water pressure to expand and stay firm, your body needs steady blood volume to fill erectile tissue and hold it there. Blood is made mostly of water. Without enough of it, your circulation slows, your energy fades, and your confidence suffers. But with it, your body is capable of far more than you realize. Hydration may not sound glamorous, but when practiced consistently, it can be transformative. I remember a patient named Walter, 72 years old, who told me he felt like his body was winding down. He missed the spark in his mornings, he missed the stamina that carried him through the day, and most of all, he missed the intimacy with his wife that once came naturally. He had tried pills, supplements, even hormone therapy, but nothing gave him what he truly wanted: reliable energy and natural performance. When I guided him through the hydration strategies we've discussed, starting his morning with water, sipping steadily through the day, avoiding last-minute overload, and pairing hydration with good food, gentle exercise, and quality sleep, the change was nothing short of remarkable. 2 months later, Walter walked into my office smiling, his wife by his side. He said, "Doctor, I feel like I've gotten a second chance. I didn't know water could give me back my life." His story is one of many, but it captures the truth I wish every man over 60 would understand. It is never too late to reclaim your vitality. When you begin each day with a tall glass of water, you set your circulation in motion. When you sip steadily, you keep your energy stable. When you avoid flooding your body at the wrong times, you protect your comfort and focus. And when you combine hydration with nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management, you give your body the environment it needs to thrive. These are not complicated steps. They are small, consistent choices that build on one another until suddenly you find yourself stronger, clearer, and more confident than you've felt in years. The hopeful takeaway is this: aging does not have to mean surrendering your vitality. Your body is capable of recovery, your circulation can improve, and your performance can return when you give it what it needs. And the beauty is, it begins with something as simple and accessible as water. But here's where I want you to lean in and really listen. Knowing these principles is one thing, living them is another. The men who experience real change are not the ones who nod their heads and walk away. They are the ones who act. They are the ones who tomorrow morning will pour that glass of water, sip it, and continue throughout the day with consistency. They are the ones who give themselves permission to believe that it is still possible to feel alive, strong, and confident. And now that you've walked with me through each step, from understanding why hydration matters to covering the mistakes, from the morning reset to steady sipping, from timing before intimacy to the long-term partners that magnify the benefits, you are ready for the final piece. Because what comes next is not just a summary, it's a message of hope, a reminder that no matter where you are today, you can begin again, and the results may surprise you in ways you never imagined. Conclusion. Gentlemen, we've covered a lot together, but the message is simple. Hydration is not just about quenching thirst, it is about giving your body the foundation it needs to restore energy, sharpen focus, and bring back the kind of reliable performance you thought belonged to the past. We began by uncovering the hidden mistakes, skipping water in the morning, relying on thirst, flooding your system at the wrong times. Then we explored the morning reset, the power of steady sipping, and the importance of avoiding last-minute gulps before exercise or intimacy. We looked at how hydration partners with food, movement, sleep, and stress control to multiply your strength. And finally, we reminded ourselves that hope is always within reach. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s rediscover confidence they believed was gone forever. I've watched their faces light up as they told me how something as basic as water gave them back mornings full of energy, evenings full of intimacy, and days full of life. And now it's your turn. Start tomorrow with that first glass, sip steadily, and see for yourself what changes unfold. Because your best years are not behind you, they can still be ahead if you choose to take this simple step today.